Big fluff.
Nice knowing you, Spider-Man.
Wait, excuse me?
The entire world's about to forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Everyone? Can't some people still know?
That's not how the spell works.
So my girlfriend's just gonna forget about everything we've been through? I mean, is she even gonna be my girlfriend?
All right, fine. Everyone in the world's gonna forget that you're Spider-Man, except your girlfriend.
Thank you so much. Oh my God, Ned.
Okay, let's not change the parameters of this spell anymore while I'm casting.
Okay, I'm done. I swear I'm done. Nah, but my Aunt May should really know.
Could you just stop talking?
And you're listening to Hobo Radio, so stay tuned.
And now, two guys with worse jokes than me, Joel, Murphy, and Lars.
Hello again, I'm Joel Murphy, this is Hobo Radio, and with me, Lars Periwinkle. How are you doing?
I'm okay, Money. How are you?
I'm good, man. Yeah. Just, trying to recover from having my mind blown.
What blew your mind?
Well, it's funny you should ask. This is such a corny. We didn't pre-plan this, but it feels so pre-planned. Anyway, why? It's funny you should ask. No, we're going to talk about Spider-Man. We both saw.
Yeah, turn it off now, folks, if you haven't watched it, because we gave a few week grace period, but good Lord, we needed to do this, folks.
Yes. Yeah. This needed to exist. It's probably dropping over your Christmas vacation. So I don't know, maybe you can sneak away from your family and listen to two nerds talk about Spider-Man, which is maybe more pleasant than the conversations that are happening in your house.
Build back better. I have thoughts. Oh, Lord, but Jesus.
Nope. No, but No Way Home, we do have thoughts. So, all right.
Yeah. When did you, can I ask, under what circumstances did you see the movie?
Panic, because no, I'm very fortunate that I get invited to screenings usually for Disney movies. They're very kind to me. They invite me to stuff. The problem is Spider-Man is a Sony, it's a partnership, but Sony is the one who handles the screenings. So they did not invite me to an advanced screening, and I realize fully that I'm very lucky to do that. It's a neat, extra cool thing that I get to do, and I never take it for granted. But it's funny because all the even Endgame and Infinity War, I saw those before other people did. And it's nice because then you've seen it and you enjoy it and you get to see it in a vacuum, kind of but this, I really, I ended up seeing it on Saturday afternoon, but I was scared. Or sorry, Friday afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was the second day. I didn't see it Thursday, so I didn't see it the day it came out, but I saw it Friday afternoon. But that 24 hours of knowing that the internet has seen a movie, and especially especially this movie, because I think we all kind of knew going in, there's gonna be, and it might not even be crazy. And I would even say, as we get into it, I don't even think there was anything in it that completely was oh my God, if I had, I don't know what you would spoil, except that I just had that of I wanted to experience it myself. I didn't want to have, I avoided reading reviews. I didn't want to see like a Metacritic or Rotten Tomatoes score. Like, I just wanted to see it myself before the internet told me how to feel about it.
Right. I feel like we need to talk to our producer. That we never talk about our producer.
Yeah.
And we should, because he does really good work.
Yeah, I think that's it. Is our producer is so busy that, you know,
very busy producer because he's in high demand.
Do you want to come
but
on?
if I could just ask our producer under that story right there, if you could just put like some really nice violin music, some like really sass, like some Itzhak Perlman violin music, because Mr. Murphy had to wait and see a movie like normal people have to do.
That's why I tried. I knew, and look, it's totally fair to roast me for it, because yes, I realize how privileged I am normally, but like, I just want to say, like,
no, I'm glad. I'm almost glad. Of any movie, I'm glad that you felt the panic that the rest of us did of like, excited to see the movie. Like, it's mostly joyful excitement of, I really want to see this thing. I can't wait to see it. But there is always that underlying panic of, gotta see it. I gotta see it. I gotta see it. I gotta see it, because the internet is a thing that is in my pocket all the time. And because I am always searching for these things, then an alert will just pop up. You know what I mean? Like I will get a text from my wife and I go to check the text and it has given me news that I didn't want to know about. you know?
No, it's very hard to avoid. And yeah, it's a strange thing, because it's like, yeah, you want to enjoy the thing, but also, yeah, you just have to outrun, you know.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And also for these, I like going to see the Thursday evening previews, which I did this time. Especially at your independent movie theater. Shout out to the Senator Theater in Baltimore, Maryland. But I like going to a local movie theater on the Thursday evening screenings, because we're all there for the same reason. People didn't show up just because, oh, I heard this movie might be good, or I just wanted to go see a movie. Everyone in that theater is of a singular mind of, this is one of the things that makes our life worth living.
Yeah.
I love it so much. And here we are all together. We're going to watch the damn thing. Here we go.
That was delightful to see it. Which also, I mean, you would be surprised, even at like, you know, at the critic screening. I think people maybe think that it's like a bunch of guys with monocles, like sipping martinis, and be like, not cinema, which they're there. Those guys definitely are watching, but they do like usually do a good mix with those screenings of like making sure actually excited fans are also in the theater. But no, it was cool to be. I won't give a shout out like you did, because it was a chain theater that I went to, because I saw it in IMAX. Like, I know I wanted to see, but yeah, I wanted to see the IMAX screening. Also,
oh, I bet that was fun, man. The IMAX.
Yeah. Plus, it was like the place that had a bunch of screenings. You know, it was like the easiest, because like I wasn't sure when I was going to see it, and I drove up and was like, okay, I know, like I just know you're going to have. Whatever time I show up, there will be within 30 minutes a screening, you know, like a showing. So like, yeah. And it happened that the IMAX was coming up. So I was like, yeah, great, doing it.
You love it. You love to be going in to see a movie and there are people dressed up as characters in the movie. You know what I mean? There's a person wearing a Spider-Man mask, you know, people wearing Spider-Man costumes and buttons. And there's like a Green Goblin guy or whatever. Like it's, you just, I don't know. There's nothing for me anyways that really equals that atmosphere.
Yeah, and I'll say
weeks ago,
I was just gonna say real quick. One of the things that you could tell it's different is, you know, like everyone, I think at the critic screenings, like, you know, there's like an appreciation, but everyone's kind of, there's a more professional vibe. Literally, like when the Marvel logo flashed, there was cheering and clapping. And like names of people, I think Kevin Feige got cheers. Like it was
no shit. You love those applause breaks. There were two. the movie referenced 2 memes that got an applause break in my theater.
Yes.
Because you said the thing.
Yeah, it was the pointing got reaction.
The pointing, and also I'm something of a scientist myself.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, they did. Both of those got.
I mean, you love it.
Yeah.
You love it. I was only going to compare it to. I went with my friend Carlos, who will never be on this show, even though I've invited him. He has no interest. He got us tickets to see a band. I haven't been to a concert during this whole pandemic. Like it was weird being there, and I was kind of nervous. But it's he would kill me if he ever listened to this show. But 2 things I can tell you about Carlos. He loves music. As far as I can tell, though, he listens to first and second wave ska and the Beatles. And that's what Carlos listens to. So he invited me to see one of his favorite bands called Streetlight Manifesto, which is a great, great band. I only started listening to him once he bought me tickets to see them. And it was great. But like, it was that same vibe. And like, we're all in, we're all in this big venue, and everyone is like sweaty and wearing masks, and we're all at least half drunk, and we're all bouncing up and down to this ska music, and everyone knows the words to every song. I was pretending to. I had a mask on. Nobody knows. I was just pumping my fist with everyone, and it was that singular mind of like we're all enjoying this thing. Is that the same as just like sitting in a theater watching a movie and then applauding when something we recognize happens? I don't think there's a 1-to-1, but it's close.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's still that vibe of like we're all like our souls are linking arms.
Yeah.
You know?
I will say, and I thought about this a lot during the pandemic. I mean, a moment that I thought of when I was really missing movie theaters, like just the experience. One of my favorite moments in all of movie history was watching Avengers Endgame, which again, I saw at an advanced screening, but it was a packed theater. It was on the Disney lot. I'm not bragging. I'm just happening to mention it was on the
Christ almighty.
No, but when Captain America, like they pan out and he is holding Mjolnir.
Yeah.
Everyone lost their mind. Like it was seriously, you would have thought the Beatles.
Those people's monocles fell out of their eyes.
Yeah, I think those people even cheered. I think like somehow it's like the end of The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. Like cynicism died in that moment, and literally everyone in the theater was excited for that reveal and cheered loudly at the screen. And I like it gave me chills at the time, and I still feel like that's the bar, that moment, just like cinematic reaction wise. But I will say this movie got close, I think, a couple of times to like,
damn close. Damn close. Now that we're done setting the scene with how good we felt about walking into the movie, let us tell you about this movie.
Yeah. Well, that's a good way to jump in. What do you think got the biggest reaction in your theater?
There were a few. I can tell you what got the biggest reaction from me.
Mm-hmm.
I expected myself, because look, I'm a pretty reserved person in my regular life. I know I don't come across that way on this show, but I'm fairly reserved. I expected myself to be hooting and hollering through this whole fucking thing like I was during Endgame. But there was only one time where I got really, really, really loud. When we saw that Matt Murdock was Peter Parker's lawyer, I yelled so loud. I didn't even hear what he said.
Yeah.
I don't know what he said in the whole scene. I was too busy screaming.
Yeah, it's really funny. That moment is so funny to me because, like, same, like our theater lost their minds for Matt Murdock. And I was saying to you right before we started recording, I think out of everything in the movie, that genuinely surprised me the most, because you kind of run through possibilities, and we'll get to some of the other stuff like that. You're like, maybe this will happen, maybe that'll happen. But like, on my bingo card, like in any predictions I ever made. I did not expect to watch Matt Murdock be Peter Parker's lawyer.
And I have only because, we live in a world where you follow the news, and I knew about all these deals being made. I knew that, I shouldn't say we all knew that this moratorium they had on the Netflix Marvel characters was up. They had 2 years. The 2 years is up, so now they can be introduced into the MCU. So you expect to see him show up. I don't want to spoil anything for Hawkeye, but there were murmurs about that.
Yeah.
And so just like it was kind of in the back of your head, and I thought maybe you might see a shadow of one of these characters or something, or maybe they'll cut to, there's some shit going down in Hell's Kitchen and then Daredevil shows up or something. Who the fuck knows? But not in a million years did I think in the first act of this movie, not only would it be Matt Murdock, but he would be Peter Parker's fucking lawyer.
Right. Like, yeah. And I had even specifically, I think just because, people love Daredevil. So you knew that, like, of those characters, Daredevil was probably highest on the list to show up,
Sure.
And probably the easiest to integrate in some ways into the MCU.
I think he's the most innocuous character of the four that were on Netflix.
But I think if I had even guessed how
always five.
I know.
Keep forgetting Frank Castle. Sorry, Frank.
I thought you were just leaving out Iron Fist.
Yeah, right. I should delete that one for fuck's sakes.
But yeah, like I think if I had been asked to guess, in my head, I would have expected to see Karen or Foggy show up,
right?
Or like some reference to them, like I didn't expect to see Daredevil, and I thought maybe they'd like tease him, maybe in like one of the post-credit scenes or something. But yeah, just him being at the kitchen table, just there, just with no fanfare.
He's just there in Aunt May's apartment. Are you fucking kidding me? That's Matt Murdock, for fuck's sakes.
Yeah, and that's a funny moment too, because that's when I wonder, again, you and I both went to like the super fan screenings, but I'd be curious in a screening with like, some mix of huge Marvel fans and like normal people, the amount of people that like hear people cheering for him and are like, what? For the lawyer?
Yeah.
Am I supposed to know
who's this fucking guy?
Yeah.
He's a blind lawyer. Who gives a shit?
But no, I loved that scene, and I loved when he caught the brick. Like, it was just
man, I was so ecstatic. But like, that was great.
Also, same, no idea what was said in that scene. I like, I'm sure there was dialogue, but didn't catch it.
Yes, my inner child was screaming into my consciousness, so I didn't hear anything that was going on. To answer your question, I think because of all the speculation and everyone knowing the other two are going to be in this movie, just knowing it, and everyone categorically denying it, not just saying, well, go see the movie. They were saying, no, absolutely not. They are not in this movie. They're just not.
Yep.
And so when Andrew Garfield showed up, people lost their minds. And then a few moments later, there's Tobey Maguire. Yes, there was an uninterrupted applause that probably lasted well into 90 seconds into whatever establishing dialogue they were trying to convey at that time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because in real life, I have been in the same restaurant as Andrew Garfield. He sat down 5 feet away from me, and I have to say I went, oh, that's Andrew Garfield. But when he showed up in this movie, I was so ridiculously excited.
And look, we can go ahead, we can go ahead and get into that now if you like, because we just introduced them.
Yeah.
For me, look, I have been indifferent about Andrew Garfield's career. He's fine. Like I think they did him dirty in in his stint as Spider-Man because I think Peter Parker was written really poorly.
Yes.
And those movies overall just didn't work. And that's not on him, and I never blamed him, but he's the face of it. And then in other movies, I thought he's fine. Like, I think he was good in The Social Network, but also I didn't like that movie.
Yep. I would agree with all these opinions.
You told me, because I didn't even bother to watch it, that war movie he was in.
Yeah, it's not good.
I remember you and Molly not liking that movie and thinking his performance was ridiculous and over the top. I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but that's kind of the impression I got.
We, in our household, if people saw that movie, regularly quoted the scene. It's supposed to be a very dramatic scene where he's being taken out on a stretcher. He's just going, "My bubble, my bubble."
He's trying to say my Bible, but he's going my bubble.
And it was just something very funny about
Jesus Christ.
No, that movie was very silly. But yeah,
so for me, and it was I never disliked the guy, and nor did I think he was a bad actor. I was just Andrew Garfield's there. I don't know. I think he would be. I thought this is a good character actor who has become a leading man. That's happened to a bunch of people before, where they should be in the background, but he's a leading man, and I don't get it.
Well, and it's funny because I recently rewatched those Spider-Man movies. I guess I'll tease the idea that we ended up doing them. They'll be airing in January for Silver Linings Playback.
Fun.
Yeah. But because also I timed it because I wanted to watch them before this too, before. Yes.
So is that the theme for the month?
Yeah, we're doing all.
Are you watching Spider-Man movies?
Yeah, January is going to be all Spider-Man, bad Spider-Man.
Excellent. Yeah, excellent.
But yeah, so those are fresh in my mind. I just rewatched those movies, and it's funny because the first Amazing Spider-Man is it just would be, you'd probably like it if Sam Raimi hadn't just made a great Spider-Man trilogy, where it's you got Spider-Man. It was everything that you hoped it would be. It was super fun and awesome and very Sam Raimi and very full of personality and life. And then they made an okay Spider-Man movie after as a reboot. That's not a good move to be it's like that, but everything's less good. They didn't, because with the first one, I don't think they did anything wrong. I don't think they're well, that's not true. Because I agree with you. I don't like the way Peter Parker is written. And I actually don't like the way Uncle Ben is written. Uncle Ben's kind of a dick in that movie.
Uncle Ben kind of sucks. And also Peter Parker is cool. He should not be cool.
Yeah, he's a cool, handsome man, which is not Peter Parker.
Stop it.
But with that aside, the actual plot of the movie and everything, it's it's a mediocre Spider-Man story, which I like Spider-Man.
It's whatever. We got to watch him get bit by a spider again. Give me a fucking break.
Right. So there's that. And so all of that. And then they made the second one, and that one's very bad.
It's really bad. It's never in a million years would you think you'd be watching a movie and say, I think they're being racist towards Russians.
Yeah.
I don't know how they did. That's one of those nationalities where it's you can just make fun of them and it's okay, but this is too far. They went too far with this.
I was introduced to Paul Giamatti as an actor. The first thing I can remember seeing him in, it was a movie Private Parts, where he was regularly called Pig Vomit and was just the whipping boy of Howard Stern. And yet it wasn't until Amazing Spider-Man 2 that I was I feel like this is demeaning towards Paul Giamatti.
Yeah, this isn't right. No. They didn't work. Now, that being said, not only did they fix Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker, but for me personally, they fixed Andrew Garfield. I'm a big Andrew Garfield fan now.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I wouldn't have guessed was sincerely. And so to kind of get to all of this, first of all, the biggest reaction by far in my theater was when that man's face appeared. When Andrew Garfield showed up, people lost their mind.
And it was preemptive in my theater. When they opened the portal, I say they opened the portal.
Ned. Put respect on that man's name.
When Ned opened the portal of all people, and you saw a person in a spider suit turn towards it and start to walk towards it, an uncontrollable noise.
Yeah,
like a
same.
roar, like a roar that you would hear at a Super Bowl.
Yeah, same. And you know what's funny about that too is there was something about it that everyone was getting excited, and you saw Spider-Man, and like I couldn't quite make out his costume at first. I actually thought the first second you saw him, because he was in an alley, like, you know, in a back alley, I thought it was gonna be Tobey Maguire, because it looked more like when he throws the suit away in Spider-Man 2, like that kind of shot.
Yeah, that was the shot. I didn't think it was Tobey, because Andrew Garfield's suit had a lot more detail on it, and that's the detail I saw, but the shot was very reminiscent of Spider-Man No More.
I'm just saying, like, when the portal opened and we first saw it, that was the thing, is I was like taking it all in, and I was like, this looks like the Spider-Man No More shot, and then like you see this suit and you can get more of the detail, but like my initial thought was like, and again, because everyone cheered the second that portal opened, but then he took the mask off. But no, I would totally agree with you that like I didn't have a negative opinion of him, but I didn't really have an opinion of Andrew Garfield. But like he crushed it, and I would say probably like the original cast, like I'm not, but of the people added into this movie from other Spider-Man movies, I'd probably rank him number 2 in terms of performance and reaction.
No, 100%. Number 1 being Willem Dafoe.
Obviously, Willem Dafoe is number 1.
Absolutely.
Like with a bullet. Like Dafoe, we'll probably talk about a lot, but like, and Dafoe, I would have guessed would be number 1. I never in a million years would have guessed.
No, not at all. And I wasn't trying to rank anything beforehand. But yeah, I'm with you. If there was one thing I didn't expect at all, it was that this was going to be an Andrew Garfield redemption story.
Yes.
Like and it was a redemption story for a lot of them. It was like, I'm going to spend a little time, because it's not that difficult, and fix all these characters that got fucked up in the mix in all these Spider-Man movies. I'm going to bring them back, fix them real quick. They're going to go away. But that's how it was like the director saying, that's how I want you to remember them. That's how they should have been in the first place. And he's not wrong. Yeah. He's 100% right. That's the way they should have always been. Yes. I cannot believe, like, you think a fun little Spider-Man movie changed my opinion on a human being.
Right.
I like Andrew Garfield now. Yeah. I had no opinion on this man before.
Yeah, and it's funny because, it's somehow he played a completely different version of Peter Parker than he did in those movies, but like in a way that didn't feel wrong, because like you said, I think because it was just like correcting, and we'll probably end up talking about some of the other corrections that they made, but it just felt very natural. But like it also just tapped into how like very naturally funny he is, and how good his comedic timing is, and sort of the joke, which I really thought was a good way to go, was a lot of his dialogue was like, oh man, compared to you guys, like my adventures were really lame. Like, they very much played up that he's the lamest Spider-Man. Yeah, like, I love how he just went with it too. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, no ego on this man, that he could say, well, for some reason, I'm Spider-Man number 3. But which was I gotta be honest with you. I thought that's exactly how you would have read that line. You specifically, Joel Murphy. Thank you. But it was like, you say, well, even though you were the second Spider-Man, you're still Spider-Man number 3. That's exactly how you would have done it. Spider-Man number 3. Thank you. Yeah, I probably would have. But you know what really got me too? Because I'm trying to like this. I don't want this episode to be 6 hours long, and I feel like there's so much to talk about. But sure. I guess just since we're on Andrew Garfield, maybe we'll go character by character. Maybe that is a good way to tackle it. Sure. But the thing that really got me, and again, I just watched Amazing Spider-Man 2, and it's kind of funny because like Molly was kind of in and out. I was watching it, understandably, but like she watched that scene where Gwen Stacy dies, and I forgot how tonally different it is from the rest of that movie, and how completely like jarring and upsetting it is when she dies. And it doesn't fit in that movie, and it feels really out of place and weird, but it is horrible. Like, it's truly horrible. And
Yeah.
The funny thing is, I had watched the trailer, both of the trailers. I don't know. I know you sometimes avoid trailers. I don't know if you had watched them ahead of time, but
these I couldn't avoid. So yeah, I saw them.
But there's the shot of Zendaya falling off the bridge that's in the trailer. And when I saw it, I did have that because it made me think of the Gwen Stacy moment from the comics, which has like, I kind of in my head, I was like, this is her moment, because they did it with the first Raimi Spider-Man kind of did its own version with MJ, where the Green Goblin is dropping her. And then we got the moment with Gwen Stacy and Amazing Spider-Man 2. So I just sort of saw it and I clocked it, like it did visually read like that to me. But I was like, it makes sense. They're doing all the Spider-Man things and they're kind of combining them. But this is Zendaya's moment to have that like fall where, again, like Tom Holland is going to save her. And that was what I expected. And then when the scene happens and he jumps after her, I'm like, okay, this is exactly what I expected. And then he gets knocked out of the way and Andrew Garfield comes in and grabs her. Like, it hit me in a way I did not expect. Like,
me either. I thought I wouldn't give a shit about that because I saw like he gets knocked out of the way by that fucking glider, which has killed more goddamn people. It's dangerous. Yeah. It should be registered. Someone should do something about that glider. But it knocked him out of the way. And when Garfield dove past, I said, oh, this is, I see what's happening. This is going to be cheesy as hell. And then moments later, it happened, and oh my God, it got me. It got me so hard.
And I think that's a testament to Andrew Garfield, because I actually think it was his face. Like, because
absolutely.
He somehow conveyed, I needed this more than you. Like, like I had to be the one to save you. Like,
yeah, I know I just saved your life, and if I hadn't done that, you'd be dead. But honestly, this saved me more than it did you.
Yeah, like it really conveyed that completely. That like, you know.
And he didn't do it. He didn't do it over the top. They didn't play some kind of cheesy music. They really they put a button on that moment in the most elegant way possible, and then move the hell on. Yeah, you know, because it's not his movie. It's his movie, but it's not his movie.
Yeah, but I love that moment. I guess. Because it'll probably be more fun to talk about the villains. I feel like we should. I don't want to not talk about Tobey Maguire, but I liked him, but I don't know that I've always liked his Spider-Man. I liked him in this movie. I thought they got good comedy out of his organic web shooters. You know,
yes, they got good comedy out of that. They got good comedy out of the outfit he shows up in.
Yes. Yeah. What is it? I think it is Andrew Garfield who calls him like a youth pastor or something.
Yeah. You're going to be fighting dressed up like a youth pastor. Yeah. That was great. But also, you can say what you will. I guess we all have our own criticisms for our different Spider-Men. But I'll tell you what, like, as far as being Peter Parker goes, Tobey Maguire did it. Yeah. Like, he was a great Peter Parker.
Right. And I think that's why it's interesting that they chose to have him show up in street clothes, because it is like, I think that's the right move. You're trying to set Garfield up for success. So you show the Spider-Man suit first. But like with Maguire, you kind of want to see Maguire, like, honestly. Like,
he was just great. Yeah. It's like he's our Michael Keaton. Like he's just like, you were great. You had your stint, you did your thing. You nailed it. You moved on. I'm glad to see you back in the suit, but you did it already. You know, you were great. And we just missed you.
It's interesting too, because I think out of everyone in this movie, he's the one that I could see might have been a tough sell. Like, they might have really had to convince him, you know?
Well, you say that, but then you saw Tobey Maguire show up in this movie and you think, when was the last time I saw Tobey Maguire?
That's true. No, that's right? Totally fair. But
and not to say that he doesn't deserve work or hasn't been getting work or whatever. You just think about, you know, it isn't, well, what were you doing? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? What did we pull you away from? Yeah. Come on back, be Spider-Man, man. Come on.
Yeah. Well, that's fair. Yeah. But no, he was good. I don't know if you have anything else to say about him. I feel like we can.
Nope. Tobey Maguire's cool. That's fine. Let's talk about Alfred Molina.
Yep. Yeah. God damn it. I love Alfred Molina. And I think he got the most play in the trailers. And I think that was the right move. And he's the first one to show up. And I think that's also smart. And it was one of those things where it was like, you kind of knew, like, if you'd seen the trailer, it was very obvious that he was about to show up because Peter Parker is like, I need to talk to this school lady in this like traffic on this bridge that has been in the trailer. That's what.
Oh, yeah. And let me just real quick, because we got a lot of people to talk about. But that was Paula Newsome. Yeah. If you want to see Paula Newsome do great work and also watch a great TV show, watch that show whose name I just forgot on HBO. Is it Vice Principals? Yes. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Watch that show.
Yes.
Look, you're going to think, why'd they make a second season of that show? Watch the second season as well. She destroys it. That show is great start to finish, but she is awesome if you want to see some more Paula Newsome.
And if it helps too, because I feel like more people watched Righteous Gemstones. It's the same creative team. Like
same creative team, kind of the same sense of humor.
Yeah.
But it's Vice Principals and anyways, I really like Paula Newsome. It was good to see her.
No, and she's great in that. Also, like a great scene outside by, was it train tracks in my memory? But like in Vice Principals, like when she.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Anyway. Yes, thank you for that. Yeah, because she following a long tradition possibly started by Robert Redford, continued by Julia Louis-Dreyfus and many others. She is a fantastic actor being underutilized in a bit role in a Marvel movie
and making a big paycheck. So who gives a fuck? You go ahead, Paul.
Yeah. But
like it was great to see him show up. I loved how they look. If there's when I start to like, I'm still a kid, so I still make up Spider-Man storylines in my head because it's fun. And when I do, he's fighting Dr. Octopus, and when he's fighting Dr. Octopus, they're like on the side of a building and Doc Ock is like throwing cars at him and shit. So yeah, to see him on an overpass and he's just fucking everything up trying to get to Spider-Man, I am all in. That is what Spider-Man is to me.
Yes. Yeah, and somehow Molina looks exactly how he did in the comics without actually looking how he did without that like bowl cut and like
with that stupid bowl cut. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. But
also like that scene is so definitively Spider-Man for me, because Dr. Octopus is showing up and starting this huge fight with him while he is trying to get his friends admitted into a college.
Yes.
Because that's the shit he's always trying to do. He's trying to take Aunt May to the doctor.
Yeah.
He's trying to finish a test. He's trying to go see MJ's play. This is the kind of crap that he has to be at while being Spider-Man.
Yes. Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah, they nailed that. And then also, I think the thing that they've consistently done better in all the Spider-Man movies that they lose track of in other Marvel movies is like, he also has to save all these people. Like, because Dr. Octopus is just throwing cars at him. And so
indiscriminately. Yeah.
So he has to continue, including the admissions woman, but like also everyone else. Like he's saving a ton of people, which is great. Like that's, So I love that scene. Is a great introduction. Molina is always fantastic as Dr. Octopus.
Fantastic. Like I liked what they did with him. With the character, because he was just sour the whole time. You know what I mean? It's just like Doc Ock is just in a bad mood 100% of the time. He's never happy. He'll never be satisfied. Even if Spider-Man, just stepped back and said, you do what you want, Otto Octavius. You figure out what you want to do and you just do it and I'll stay out of your way. He would still be pissed off. He is just, he's just a dickhead. He's just going around being a fucking prick all the time.
I also, it's funny because it had never occurred to me, but it is kind of like they touch on it in the movie, but I honestly think they could have even gotten more mileage out of the fact that like his entire thing in Spider-Man 2 is that he's trying to build an arc reactor, and then he comes to this universe and finds out that Tony Stark built one in a cave with scraps
from a box of scraps.
But like I think it is funny that he has to see the tiny arc reactor that Tony Stark made, like
power of the sun in the palm of my hand. Oh yeah, Tony figured that out.
Yeah, so
it's over.
But yeah, no, he was great.
He did it to satisfy the hippies.
But yeah, that was delightful. Do we want to talk Jamie Foxx now?
I love to talk about Jamie Foxx. because they fixed Electro perfectly with even the limited amount of screen time that Electro had.
Well,
The
first of
first
all,
thing that happens, I'm not purple anymore.
yeah.
Awesome. Why were you ever purple? Why were you a purple guy walking around in sweat socks?
Yeah.
That was ridiculous. I'm so glad that's not you anymore.
Well, also, they just, out of everyone in this movie, like we talked about the way, like with Andrew Garfield, it was sort of subtle. And you could even, if you hadn't seen the Amazing Spider-Man movies, you might not have even noticed. But straight up, Jamie Foxx, they're just like, you're a different guy. Like,
You're just different. They fucked you up. They did you dirty. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. We're not
can
going to
you
make
please
you
just
be
do it again? Can you do it again, but better?
Yeah.
And apparently Jamie Foxx was 100% on board.
But yeah, well, sure. I mean, he probably saw what he looked like with 2 pocket protectors and a comb over. Like seriously, man, like he plays such a parody of an 80s cartoon nerd in that movie.
Yep.
Like,
No, it
he's
was
not
horrible.
a human being.
So horrible.
But yeah, I'm totally down for them to just, especially in a movie with this much going on, that's this crowded, just be like, yeah, okay, you're just different. Like, we don't have time to get into it. Just,
yeah,
but we're not going to do that.
We're not going to try to explain it. Just, you're awesome. And people will accept that you're awesome because you're awesome.
Yep. And your
Done.
character design is better too.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I think he played it perfectly because, like I said, he didn't have a lot of screen time to establish any of that, but I think he nailed it. And I mean, it's Jamie Foxx.
Yeah.
Like, of course he's going to. He knows how to do his job.
And interestingly, like that he was, again, like this is the right order where it's like Green Goblin, then Octavius, then him. Like he was third on the depth chart in terms of like screen time and presence in this movie. Like,
Yeah, most definitely. And also threat level.
Yeah.
He's really powerful, especially and it's great that they wrote it into the script, like recognizing what an arc reactor could do for an Electro.
Right. Yeah. So that was good. Maybe we should just quickly touch on, I mean, they phoned in Lizard, and I think that's fine.
Yep. That's fine. He was phoned in the first time. You can phone him in this time. He was phoned in the comics.
Yeah.
He was always a werewolf sort of character of like, he made a mistake. He doesn't want to be what he is, but he's kind of dealing with it and kind of enjoying the power, but whatever.
Yeah, but they basically, they sidelined him as much as possible. He didn't really have anything to do. I didn't think they got Reese, how do you say that guy's name? Reese Ethan, is that right? Did I probably butcher that?
Yeah, Reese Ethan.
Yeah. But like, at first I wasn't even sure if they got him because like Lizard wasn't even talking. Like it almost seemed like.
That's right. He was just grunting in a corner.
Yeah. So I thought maybe they couldn't bring him on. But
and of course, it's so indicative of who the character Peter Parker is because he's such a fucking nerd, right? And then you're looking at a dungeon full of his biggest enemies and it's 4 doctors.
Yeah.
4 doctors and then random criminal.
Well, so that's the other thing that, so then we got Sandman with Thomas Hayden Church, which he got a significant amount of screen time. I will say, look, I love this movie. We're going to rave about this movie. My most pedantic note is it seemed like it kind of understandably the sand was like, because they invented technology to do that sand effect in Spider-Man 3. I'm going to guess they didn't bother to get the same company to do it again. It was noticeably not as good. And I don't know if you thought that, like, I love to watch that Disney Plus show where they do like the behind the scenes. I forget what they call it, Making the Universe or something, whatever. But like they do one. I really hope they do one for Spider-Man because I would love to see how they did all this with all the cameos and everything. But like, my guess would be specifically with those 2 actors, with Lizard and with Sandman, I'm going to guess that they went to like Disney's lot in California, recorded their lines like in a recording booth, and then probably both stood in front of a green screen to get the one shot of their human forms for the end. And that was probably their entire involvement, that they never interacted with the rest of the cast. They probably snuck them in, like one day when no one would notice to kind of whatever, but they seemed like they were probably CGI the whole time so you didn't have to have them on set. And that those guys probably just, like I said, they were probably in a sound booth recording dialogue.
Yeah, and maybe it was to save a buck. I thought for a moment with Recife, it's a little different because man, I don't mean to sound like a dick here or anything, but they did. I thought that they just did a really good job on Willem Dafoe and Alfred Molina's makeup to make them look like they did, 15, 20 years ago. But it turns out they did use that de-aging technology, which I can usually see.
Wow.
I can usually see the seams around that, but I didn't notice it this time at all.
No, I didn't either. Like, that's funny. I actually, until you said that, I didn't even realize that they did.
Yeah, and just thinking like maybe they just didn't want to take the time and do that with a Thomas Hayden Church or a Reese Ethan, or look, we all age. So maybe they were just trying to save a buck there. I really couldn't tell you, but what I was concerned with when they were not showing Sandman was that they were getting someone to do a really good Thomas Hayden Church impression, and they had not asked him back, or he had refused. So I was really glad to see his face at the end of the movie.
See, that's funny. I was thinking that with Lizard, like that maybe that was someone doing an impression or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, that's just, it's not a big deal in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, they were just noticeably more CGI and not there. And like you said,
and not there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's them.
So that's all of them except for one. So much joy. Much joy to see the Green Goblin fully realized by Willem Dafoe. Straight up took him off the leash.
Yeah.
Just, you be the most Green Goblin-y Green Goblin that anyone's ever seen.
Yeah, it's one, I love that they fixed. Look, the Raimi movies are some of the best comic book movies ever made, just period. Like they stand the test of time. They're fantastic. But I think one thing they do correct is that mask that Willem Dafoe was in, and you get to see his face. But I love Dafoe so much, but the power of that man, the thing that I truly appreciate is they do the twist, right? Where and again, there's another scene from the trailer where Peter thinks that Aunt May is in trouble, so he runs into the center where she's working. He like rips the mask off. He's like running. It's a very panicky thing, and then it's twist. It's Osborn. It's Norman Osborn, and he's just like looking very sad and frail. And this is the whole thing where like May's like, oh, he came in and he's scared, and you're watching it, and just logically my brain knows, one, we don't want this. And two, you don't hire Willem Dafoe unless he's going to go to 12. So like you're watching him. But here's the thing. He's so good that even though it's the most telegraphed heel turn in the history of movies, you still are into his performance when he's being scared Norman Osborn who wants to help. You know that so he's going to turn on him, but it's so fun to watch even that part where he's just like, oh, we're just two scientists helping each other. Doop, boop, boop. Like, look at me.
Yeah, we're having a grand old time. And the whole time he's doing it, you're making a jerk off motion with your hand, like bullshit.
Yeah.
But he keeps lulling you and lulling you into it, because the thing about Willem Dafoe is he is the scariest person in the world, and he's so good at making you like him.
Yeah. Well, he also
he keeps lulling you, and you're like, something's not right. So and this was a really interesting thing that I like what they did when the Spidey sense is going off, and he walks into that room full of his biggest enemies, and you see him looking around, and then you realize he's trying to figure out who the asshole is. Yeah. There's an asshole in here who's pretending not to be an asshole, and who is it?
I honestly think that might have been just on a pure technical visual storytelling, like, sort of all the senses storytelling, like, what a movie is. Just on that level, the best thing that this movie does is that effect that that it's his spider sense, you're watching him, and just that reveal was so expertly done just on a technical level. And I really appreciated that moment so much. And it's cool.
And Dafoe's brow goes down, and then the points of his mouth go up, and he makes that terrifying guttural laugh.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Well, and it's also, in a way, it's like a nice homage to the original Spider-Man, because one of my favorite Willem Dafoe moments from that is at the very end, and to your point about the glider, where he's doing the thing where he's like, he's doing the same thing that he's doing in this movie.
Like he's a wounded animal.
He's a wounded animal. He's appealing to Peter Parker's humanity to be like, oh, Peter, thank God it's you. Like I was under the spell, but I'm normal now. And he's only doing it to buy time to get his glider so that he can ram it into Peter Parker. And he's against a wall. Peter's in front of him, and the glider is rising up from the background. And the thing is, spider sense goes off. Peter jumps out of the way. And what I love is Dafoe, there's this moment where his face changes and he just goes, oh, like, because he hadn't thought it through. It was so, I want to kill this guy so bad that he didn't piece together that he's in the way of the glider that then impales him.
Oh, that's right. I'm also here. God damn it.
But like, and that's his death in that movie, and it's amazing. But yeah, like his ability to hit that switch and just to be, and it's like,
and look, it's great storytelling, because that's here's something that Sam Raimi got right, and I'm only saying this because I'm then going to say something he didn't get right. But the thing he got right is the Norman Osborn, and more importantly, the Green Goblin. He's done it in the comics, well, more than once, because the way comics work, you die all the time. And he did it in that movie. He is awful. He's a fucking terrorist. He's just a killing machine. And then Peter Parker, Spider-Man tries to stop him, but doesn't want to kill him. Green Goblin then ends up killing himself with his own glider, and Spider-Man gets blamed for it. Yeah. That happens over and over again. And that's one of the things he's known for, and it's a pain in the ass. But the thing that Sam Raimi never showed that I really appreciated in this one is that the Green Goblin can beat Spider-Man in a fist fight. He always can. And he's riding around on that glider. He's got his bombs. He has bombs that do different things that seem to be very convenient for the time. But when it comes down to it, when he has to fight Spider-Man in hand-to-hand combat, he can always beat him. He's strong. He's super strong. He is relentless. And he's not even that good at fighting. He's just big and doesn't give a shit, and it is stronger than Spider-Man, which is fucking terrifying. He's stronger than Spider-Man.
Well, and he has no line. Like,
there's no line. He will just keep going.
Yeah.
And that's what I got. Even we just had that one fight scene that was, it was epic, but it was one. And I got all of it right there. They're going through the floors of this building, and he's just ramming Spider-Man into shit. And that's what I thought was missing from that Green Goblin.
Well, and I think that is the thing. It's such a both like super like watchable, but also truly awful combination of like, because I really love him in the first Raimi movie, but he's a little cartoony, because there's like the Spider-Man, like he's got that kind of like he's kind of being over the top in like a Raimi like way that sort of, I don't think it ruins the character, but it softens the character a little bit. And in this movie,
it takes the edge off. Yeah, for sure.
And in this movie, he's at his most vicious, like his truly most vicious. And he's up against our most precious Spider-Man, like our
most precious little boy,
our softest little dove of a Spider-Man. And
I'm, no offense to the other ladies, but our most beloved Aunt May.
Yes. Yeah. And okay, so I guess we should talk about that scene.
That's fine, because not only did he kill that woman, but right before he did, he told Peter that he's going to thank him for it later.
Yeah.
Like, I'm about to murder this person that's the closest to you on planet Earth, and you're welcome.
Well, and he's doing an amazing thing in that moment too, which is weirdly, I'm going to reference like The Revenant, which is a movie that I really enjoyed, but it's like, he's he's killing Aunt May and setting up the stakes so that even if you kill him in retaliation, he still wins.
Yep.
Like it's
I'm going to bring out the worst of you by doing the thing I'm about to do. And you're really going to like that about yourself. Anyway, your aunt's dead.
Yeah. And it's awful the way it happens. Like, it's truly upsetting. It's very awful that they linger on. Like, and it's funny because that is a weirdly particular pet peeve of mine that I think it's overdone and it's usually not done well. The like person takes 10 minutes to die and has a conversation. Yeah. But like in this moment, I think because you don't want her to die and you're like, I think you're just hoping like, you know, that she's going to die.
And I think you hear those stories about folks. That's why I thought it was a really realistic way for a character to die, because you hear those stories about someone who has a mortal injury and they stand back up and they're like, I'm fine. Like, I'm fine. I just I got the wind knocked out of me, but I'm really okay. And then they collapse and they have a mortal wound. Yeah. And it's there. And in that sense, I thought it wasn't really done in a melodramatic sense. I thought it was pretty realistic. Watching him hold her while it happened, look, heartbreaking. But then sorry, I just welled up a little bit, but watching Happy pull up to the scene and get out of his car and like he gets understandably surrounded by the authorities. It's like, what the fuck are you doing here? And so he's being handcuffed on the hood of his car while he's watching what's going on in the building. Give me a fucking break. Come on. Yeah. And
I can't handle Tom Holland crying. It really like,
my little boy.
Yeah, he's like, and they knew that in Infinity War because they make it so upsetting when he, Mr. Stark, I don't want to go. Like, and he's so
stop saying, come on, man. We need to talk about something else.
But then they do it in this movie. And so I'm already getting choked up watching Tom Holland watch Aunt May die. And then it's like they sat there and were like, what's the worst thing we could do to heighten this right now? Oh, how about the other person that loves her truly in this world? What if he...
And now you have to watch Happy, watch Peter, watch Aunt May die. Stop it. Stop it.
It really is like an improv scene where they're just heightening how sad they can make it. Like,
oh my God. It was... Oh man, it was horrible. It's like earlier you saw Happy at his recliner with his stupid breathing machine on because he's got apnea.
But that's so all of that just fantastic. And like I really did like that. That's the thing too, is like you don't get a clear sense from the trailer like what, I mean, maybe there's hints, but like this actual arc of the movie, this actual like, because you're doing Spider-Verse and we saw a Spider-Verse and that one was like about anyone can wear the mask. That's the theme, and it's about watching an origin story for Miles Morales. But like, what is this one? What's it going to be about? And it's like, it really is about, you are living two lives and you have to choose one, and it's so they use the multiverse to be like, here's all the different lives, it's a multiverse. Now here's all these possibilities. Also, that's kind of what Norman Osborn is doing by getting in his head of like, I'm going to choose for you. You're going to live the like, because he even has dialogue. I don't remember exactly what he says, but he's like telling him like, you're a god and you're wasting your time. Like trying to be this, like basically you're Spider-Man, and to exactly your point, why are you bothering trying to get your friends admitted into college? You're fucking Spider-Man. Like go be Spider-Man.
Like you should stop being Peter Parker altogether. And the way you're being Spider-Man is also wrong. So I need to course correct for all of this because you're doing it wrong.
And that becomes the theme of the movie, this idea of like him having to choose. And that's why the spell gets messed up, because he's like, I want everyone to forget that I'm Spider-Man. But then it's like, but wait, except these people and these people. And then it's all the caveats and the indecision that screws it up. And then that sets up the ending, which I don't know if we should talk about the ending yet, or if we should talk about anything. Is there anything else that we need to talk about before the ending? I guess
there was one thing. There's one thing that I want to ask you about, but there is one thing that we didn't talk about.
Okay.
It's funny. You know what we didn't talk about?
What?
Doctor Strange.
Oh, yeah.
Did you need to?
No, I thought this in a like I thought that overall the movie was well paced. I actually thought this scene where they fought went on a little too long out of everything, maybe. And
oh no shit, because that was really a highlight for me.
But
I mean, watching Spider-Man take on Stephen Strange in the mirror dimension really blew my fucking mind, because you never thought that would happen in a million years.
What I loved was what I was going to say is I thought like I think you could have trimmed it a little bit. That's my own personal preference. But
fair enough.
That being said, when he figured out that the mirror dimension is just math and uses that to beat him, I adore that, because that's such a Peter Parker solution, and it didn't feel like a cheat, and it did exactly what I wanted to do, which was get Doctor Strange out of the story because he needed to not be in the story.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, I liked that a lot. Not only was it very Peter Parker to just notice the patterns, it was very Tony Stark to notice those patterns and be able to be like, oh, your magical, mystical horse shit is just fucking geometry. Give me a break.
It also, I mean, and I say that like get him out of the story. I think they used him the right amount, because I think like I saw the way people described it. They kind of thought, oh, well, because all you knew was like, we're going to get a third Spider-Man movie originally, and Doctor Strange is going to be in it. I think people kind of assumed, oh, so they're just he's going to become the new mentor for Peter. And I really didn't want that. But I saw people thinking that, of like that idea that like he's going to be the new Stark.
Which is a fair path to take, because, you know, I think we've talked about it privately. I don't know if we did it on the show, probably on the show, but when Tony Stark and Stephen Strange met for the first time, I think the writers looked at it and said, oh shit, we made the same character twice.
Yeah. And I feel like they tried to fix that in some of the Avengers movies, but they really did make him another Tony Stark. And you can kind of see it in the beginning of Infinity War when they're talking to each other. And it's almost like when you watch all the Whedon dialogue, like it's just two guys saying the same thing back. No, you're an asshole.
You're an ass. Yeah. What do you we selling tickets to something? I'm protecting your reality, douchebag. Like it was, they are very much the same side of a coin.
Yeah. Yes. But yeah, so I thought they used him the right amount. He needed to be in the beginning and the end, and they needed to figure out a way to get him out of the middle, and they did that. You know? Absolutely.
He needed to explain to Peter what the problem was, so Peter had an idea of how to fix it. I think as his career goes along and he plays more American characters, Benedict Cumberbatch's American accent is getting better.
It is.
Yeah. However, he's in a scene with Tom Holland and Alfred Molina, both Brits, and their accents are great. And then his becomes noticeably not as great.
Yes. There's an accent problem in the MCU. We don't have time to talk about it, but like, look, I adore Florence Pugh, but like that Natasha, that like moose and squirrel accent that she does, is distracting.
I can now put hot sauce in macaroni and cheese. Come on.
It's a bit much. Like, and I just want them to do what they did for Black Widow with the other Black Widow, to just be like, you just talk American now.
Yeah.
But
so I'm sure you have some final thoughts, but before you get to them, I need to ask if this happened to you, because it happened to me. So climax of the movie is done. Everything's, quote unquote fixed.
Wait. This is okay, because I still want to talk about the end of the movie. So I don't know if you're jumping ahead.
Okay, sure. Okay, well, this can lead into that, but I can tell you from what happened to me personally is that people forget who Peter Parker is, right?
Yeah.
And he goes into the donut shop, and that scene happens. Okay. Mm-hmm. He's standing at Aunt May's grave, and Happy shows up next to him.
Mm-hmm.
And then Happy says to Peter, so how did you know her?
Yeah.
And in that instant, I realized that their relationship was so well established that I had forgotten in those 2 minutes that Happy didn't know who Peter Parker was.
Yes.
It completely escaped me. Yeah. So when he said, how did you know her? That reminded me, that's right, Happy doesn't fucking know who Peter Parker is.
Well, and yeah, I think it worked like that for me too. And it's like one of those things where, again, the adorable, soft Tom Holland, who I love. He's at his aunt's grave and it's sad. And then Happy Hogan shows up and you're like, oh, thank God, he has a friend. fuck.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. I'm glad I wasn't alone in that, because it was such a huge part of the movie that had happened moments prior.
Right.
But it was still like seeing the two of them stand next to each other. It's like, well, that's his big brother. You know, Happy is his big brother. Happy has his best interest in heart. And then you forget.
Well, and that's the thing, like, because we talked about the scene, Happy, they have that moment where Happy still remembers him, where they see each other. Like you said, Happy sees him grieving, but it's like now he's lost that. Like, Happy doesn't remember that anymore.
Nope.
You know, and so like, yeah, it's so okay. But I do want to so I want to talk about this ending a little bit, because so first of all, I mean, I assume maybe people know that it's so my first thought watching it is there was a recent, I think I'm almost positive we talked about it on the show when it happened, is this kind of mirrors a storyline that they did in the comics fairly recently where, and it's funny because in the comics it was because of Civil War that everyone knew Peter Parker's identity, and then he and MJ were married, and then they did a storyline where Aunt May was going to die, and I think it was Mephisto, if I remember right, but like basically makes a deal with him of like, I can save Aunt May, but everyone's going to like, I'm going to wave a wand and you won't be married to MJ anymore. And everyone will forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Like, it was kind of, they did it as like a reset.
Sure.
So there's obviously shades of that with this, but like, man, so we already kind of talked about like, yeah, that moment with Andrew Garfield. This ending fucked me up emotionally. Like,
oh yeah,
it really did. Like, I don't know how you felt about it, but it was funny because like I got choked up watching it in the theater, and then Molly didn't go with me, and I came home and I was telling Molly about the movie, and I got choked up telling her about the ending.
Oh hell,
because I love Tom Holland as a Spider-Man. Him and Zendaya, I really like them both together. They're you know, together in real life. They have amazing chemistry, and this movie was smart in that it found the time in this busy movie to show them genuinely just connecting and being adorable together, and like the intimacy that they have and the relationship that they have, and that choice. So he, you know, he decides like it's clear what I have to do. I have to, again, it's the theme of the movie. He's living two lives. I've got to just be Spider-Man. So the only way I can save everything, everyone has to forget who Peter Parker is. And this time it's everyone. And then he has the plan. He's like, okay, so I'm going to reintroduce myself to MJ. And he goes to that coffee shop. And after, again, she fell out the Statue of Liberty. She almost died. She's banged up. He sees her and Ned. They're both okay. He sees the scar on her head, and he comments on it. And she's like, it doesn't hurt anymore. And then he has that moment of like, put the notes away. She's like, and it's just, man, like, it's such a complex, such a heartbreaking decision of like, the best thing, like, I love you so much that the best thing I can do is walk away right now. And you won't even know it. Like, you'll have no idea I did this, but because you don't know it, I'm saving you from danger. I'm saving you from the heartbreak of loving Spider-Man. Like, it's just, it gutted me, that choice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And look, we, ever since those immortal words were spoken by Tony Stark when he said, I am Iron Man.
Yeah.
We all forgot about the secret identity because it wasn't a thing, because it hasn't needed to be a thing for a long time. Yeah. But for Peter Parker, it needs to be a thing because he's a kid. He's got a life to live. Yeah. And so to go back to it of like, that's why they all did it. And that's why he's going to do it now, is to protect the people that mean the most to him. Why did, Aunt May died because he's Spider-Man. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's a problem. It's a problem for him. Yes. And the fewer people that know that, the better. And I think that was him standing there was realizing that of like, that's why I always kept it a secret. This isn't going to work for other people in my life. You know?
Yeah. And then, so you have that where it's like, he's in a mistake. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like he's in the apartment that Tobey Maguire had. In this part,
it looks like it. I was getting that impression very much. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's in that apartment. He makes a suit that is the more like classic blue and red suit. And he's just, we end the movie with this decision that he's just going to be Spider-Man, which obviously
he can't be the Iron Spider anymore because that was predicated on the notion that the suit knew who he was. That suit doesn't know who he is anymore. He can't be the Iron Spider.
Man, that's so funny. I didn't even think about the suit not remembering him. Yeah. It's okay. So I think this is a good thing. We won't go too much longer, but I do think that we should touch on some stuff because we should have a questions portion because I definitely have some questions about. Well, just like I guess this was the movie review portion of this, of just like talking it out. I think it's clear to say we both loved the movie. Like I thought it was amazing. Like it blew my expectations away.
It was an amazing Spider-Man movie.
It was. Yeah. So that's all. Like it's great. It completely threaded a very difficult needle. It felt different from Into the Spider-Verse, which was like a bit of a like worry that I had of like you had already done a Spider-Man multiverse movie, but this didn't feel like that at all.
No, not even close.
So that was great. No, I really liked it. But yeah, so I think there are some questions though. I think the questions of what now, and so you kind of touched on one, and I maybe we can explore this a little bit of just like, I like the decision for all the reasons I just said thematically for this movie, but with the MCU, everything must continue. So now because I don't know about you, I kind of thought that this movie was going to remove Peter Parker from the MCU. Like they were going to end their partnership with Sony. Maybe Tom Holland would go to the like Venom Morbius universe, but they didn't do that. They kept him in, but they make this. So we're getting more Spider-Man. Kevin Feige already came out and said they're negotiating. I think they've made an agreement to make more, but they're planning what the next.
It's a mutually beneficial relationship. You would almost call it symbiotic.
Thank you. But okay, so he's still in the MCU, but nobody remembers who Peter Parker is. I think there's a lot of questions because, again, I like the scene as an individual level, but like, what does Happy? So Happy knows Aunt May, he says, through Spider-Man, but like, what does that mean to him? Like, what did he think Aunt May's relationship to Spider-Man?
I know Aunt May through Spider-Man. What do you mean?
Yeah, what does that mean? How did Aunt May, in your mind, how did Aunt May know Spider-Man? Also,
totally.
So you're saying, the suit wouldn't recognize him. Also, again, like all of the drone stuff, the stuff that was willed to him by Tony Stark would all be gone. There's a question. I mean, does he have a birth certificate? Does he have like he rented an apartment, but like,
he's studying to get his GED for fuck's sakes.
Right. So clearly like his school records are gone.
Right.
But is he still operating
under the name Peter Parker?
Right. So there's that
or
question.
do you have to make up an identity?
Right. So there's all of that to deal with. Like, what is his identity? What name is that apartment rented under? Like, it could just be maybe somehow he had he doesn't even have a driver's license because he's a little boy. But like,
I don't know. Also, he lives in New York. You don't need a driver's license. You live in New York.
But I don't know. Maybe he has his birth certificate and stuff. Like maybe the school lost the records, but point being, we don't know.
He should still like physically have it though. You know what I mean?
Right. So maybe he has records.
We're really getting in the weeds here, but I'm with you. These are details that need to be ironed out if he's still going to exist on that Earth.
Yes. So there's all of that to deal with. There's also, so I kind of assumed that knowing, and so we got a trailer for the Doctor Strange movie.
A full-on trailer at the end of the credits, which was very weird.
It was weird. If I remember correctly, the last time they did that was actually the Avengers. Like, remember they had done all the post-credit teasers, and then straight up, it might have been Captain America, the first Avenger. I think there was just a trailer for the Avengers movie at the end.
Credits. Oh, okay. I don't recall that, but okay.
But it's weird. It's a weird thing to do. I don't like it really, because also they're just going to put that trailer online anyway. Like, just do a scene.
Yeah, come on.
But also, I didn't really. All I got from that trailer is that Wanda is going to be in the Doctor Strange movie.
Right.
But like, this, I thought. So again, for a lot of reasons, I thought this was going to set things up. I assume that Doctor Strange will be dealing with Fallout, but like it kind of seems like everything was contained at the end of this movie. Like it doesn't actually feel like maybe So all this to say too, I watched Loki. I assume you watched all of Loki. Like people watched all of Loki. I don't know how this ties in with that storyline. So you have a TVA storyline where it collapsed, which is because also you would think based on the way Loki presented it, if the TVA was functioning, they would have stopped this because this would have been a deviation. So they would have not allowed any of this to happen. So you get the impression that maybe this happened because the TVA isn't on the ball anymore. But like, when did this happen in comparison to that?
I see what you're saying. Yeah. That's a good question. They could address it or not address it. They set the precedent that they'll probably address that in some way, shape, or form. But it's a good question.
But then, so how does Loki and how does this play into Doctor Strange? I don't think we have any sense at this point. Like it's very unclear.
No, we really don't have a sense of. We don't have a specific sense of when WandaVision was happening in comparison to this show.
I think that's that is getting to be a real question overall. When did we know this happened around the holidays, which would make me think that it happened around the same time as Hawkeye, which is funny too, because in Hawkeye, I think Yelena, with her amazing accent, said something about seeing the new Statue of Liberty, which we saw the shield on. So it seems like this is happening concurrently with Hawkeye, which that creates some questions too of like, that
needs to be ironed out because 5 years from 2018 is 2023, but then you said Hawkeye's happening in present day. So I don't know what you think present day is, but I'm a little confused.
Right. So there's a lot of questions just about where we're at, but they do seem like they took place at the same time in New York, right? Both Hawkeye and this movie.
A bit. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Who knows? And as of this recording, we haven't seen the last episode of Hawkeye. Maybe it clarifies that. I somehow doubt it because there's too much other stuff for it to do. But
they got some work to do on that last episode.
But so there's just I think that's a general thing of like, I like this movie as its own thing, and it does feel like a victory lap for Spider-Man. But then, it's Marvel and it's the MCU, so you already did a victory lap for the Avengers, and we're still going. So we're doing victory laps while also like, I guess I would just say in a broader sense, easily this is my favorite Phase 4 movie, but I'm also Phase 4 feels like it has a little bit of like, inertia in like, I'm not sure what we're doing. Like I'm enjoying the pieces, but there isn't we haven't teased a Thanos.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you because this Doctor Strange movie is supposed to be a straight up horror movie, you know, and now you got Wanda in there, and we're not even sure that she has any limits on her powers anymore. And also, great, we're keeping this Peter Parker around. I'm 100% in on that. I'm 100% in if Sony wants to make 4 Spider-Man movies concurrently and just be putting them out. I'm down with that too, but if this one's going to exist in our universe, in our MCU, then yes, there are some questions that need to be answered before we moved on. And I'm satisfied with basically any answer.
Yes.
But questions that need to be answered for sure.
I also, do you want my theory? This is pure speculation, but and I don't even think this was the plan, but based on everything we talked about it and based on, again, I think fan reaction, I have a weird theory, or at least idea, that I think Andrew Garfield could end up being the Spider-Man of the Venom universe, because it feels like that universe needs a Spider-Man. We all like him based on this movie. Because I really thought that Tom Holland was going to end up in that. Like, I thought they were doing multiverse to be like, somehow he gets stranded in the universe that Sony owns. But they didn't do that. But they own the Sony has the Andrew Garfield character outright.
Sure does. Yeah.
And there's going to be this renewed interest in him. And sort of like, I think we all now are like, man, that guy didn't get to do a good Spider-Man. So I would be curious. But then it's like, so that's the other thing too. So that's my theory. It was just, like I said, I just wanted to get that on record. I could see Andrew Garfield ending up being the Spider-Man of the Sony verse. But the other thing, there was a completely I haven't seen Let There Be Carnage. I did see the first Venom. I don't really know. Like that movie was okay, but we got a Venom Tom Hardy teaser credit thing that also left Venom in, left part of the symbiote in this
behind,
universe, in Mexico.
And also, where did he disappear to? Because he doesn't know who Peter Parker is. So where's he going?
I thought that too. Like, well, I took it that he was in this universe, but yeah, so he's disappearing back to whatever universe he came from. But yeah, how did he show up when he doesn't know the identity of Peter Parker? And that's the other thing too, is like the spell was contained, so we only got the two other franchise characters.
Right. Conveniently, but yes, yeah.
But like, yeah, I think that is it doesn't really make sense that he was there, but also that seems to be teasing. I mean, if I can be clear on one thing based on everything we've seen, all available evidence, it seems like Sony really has a boner for Venom.
Yes.
And so I could believe that was them really wanting Venom to be in the MCU.
I'm down. Come on with it.
But
now I have to watch those fucking movies though, because I haven't seen those.
Well, again, I think that those would be separate. Like I got the impression. I mean, if you're leaving the symbiote behind, I would guess that you're going to do like a Tom Holland. You're going to do Spider-Man 3 again. Like Tom Holland is going to get this.
Sure.
He doesn't have any friends, so he'll become friends with the symbiote.
There you go.
Yeah, but there we did. I wrote the next Spider-Man. I did it.
Boom.
What happened to Flash Thompson's book? That's what I want to know. Did it disappear?
Holy shit, bro.
No, I'm kidding. Well, look, I do have those questions about how the spell worked. Like, so there was footage that Mysterio had, even if no one remembers who Peter Parker is, did that footage just blow up? So like,
good call. Don't know.
Yeah. Also, we didn't talk about J.K. Simmons, which I think is fair.
Oh, yeah.
He was great. He's great at this character.
Yeah, he was great. And I like that they did that like cable news blowhard version of him. I'm into that. You can
say Alex Jones. He's very clearly Alex Jones.
Okay. Yes, he's Alex Jones.
Yeah. I mean, if it was ambiguous before, they literally had him hawking some sort of like snake oil pills in the movie.
Yeah.
So you weren't mistaken about who he is. But yeah, I think we did it.
Yeah, I think, the only thing I wanted to add is it was really nice to see Aunt May and MJ do a reading of my sign-off catchphrase.
Oh.
When they were walking by and they said, don't say anything without a lawyer.
Oh, yeah. We'll have to get that when the movie comes out. We'll have to get that as a soundbite of like...
They know what's up. They know what's up.
Also, man, we didn't talk much about them because we were talking about everyone else. But like, yeah, I love Zendaya. I love guy who plays Ned, whose name I don't remember. But like, they're real good. I like the Spider-Man universe. Like I like these characters. And I thought they used them right. I think... Like Ned getting to do the magic was cool. It seems like the reset at the end would mean that he's not gonna like team up with Doctor Strange. Maybe he will, but like
maybe not. But he's doing a solid job. Jacob Batalon.
Yes, but yeah, like I kind of felt like they were teasing that maybe he was gonna go work with Strange, but then I don't know. I don't know what they think happened. Like I don't know what MJ thinks happened to her head. To be honest. We were at the Statue of Liberty for some reason, and 3 Spider-Man saved us.
Yeah, it's funny. Like going forward, it seems like their options are limitless, but also very limited. Like they've almost painted themselves into the corner of an ever expanding universe.
Well, and this is kind of this is the interconnected thing, and weirdly, Spider-Man has kind of suffered from it before. Of like. Far From Home, I like overall, but I think it feels a little clunky because it got stuck with dealing with... It had to establish the term The Blip, and it had to be the first movie to deal with the time jump, and had to go like, well, your time jump really fucks up our plan, so all of our characters blipped? All of them.
Yeah.
Good call. But like, yeah, I think the interconnected stuff kind of gets them of like, I mean, Tony Stark is dead, so... I guess there's not too much Avenger fallout from, I guess people didn't really know who he was. It was mainly Tony and Happy and Doctor Strange. I think are the only ones that he like says I'm Peter Parker to.
True.
So there might not be a lot of fallout there, but yeah, I think, it'll be interesting to see how they move forward.
I'm here for it. I can tell you that.
No, it's great. I mean, they're doing good work.
Yeah.
So, and look for Andrew Garfield in the Sonyverse. I'm the first. I've made that up.
Welcome, Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, congrats, bro. All right. And before Lars says his world famous Spider-Man catchphrase, remember, question everything.
Yeah, shut up and get a lawyer.
And with great power, there must come great responsibility.
That's good shit.
I like that she did the old school. She did the original.
Me too.
Thieves just like flies. Look out! Here comes the Spider-Man. Is he strong? Listen, bud. He's got radioactive blood. Can he swing from a thread? Take a look overhead. Hey there goes the Spider-Man. In the chill of night, at the scene of a crime, like a street.
Here's the thing. Here's my only note on the movie. They did kind of force a go get him tiger in there. I think you could look, it might have undercut it emotionally, but that moment where Peter's in the coffee shop and he finds out that MJ got into MIT and she's like not letting herself get too excited. Perfect opportunity for him to go face it. You just hit the jackpot.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
Yeah. You hit the jackpot of getting into MIT, MJ.
Hobo Radio is a production of HoboTrashCan.com. If you enjoyed the show, please rate or review it on iTunes. Hear more great shows on the Peak Sloth Podcast Network, like this one.
In a world where people watch movies,
I think I'm going to watch a movie.
Sometimes they don't like what they see.
I don't like this movie.
But sometimes they look for the silver lining.
Wait a second. I like this part of this movie.
Joel and Andy do that work for you. The Silver Linings Playback.
I like this part of this podcast where they tell me the part of the movie I like.
Every Monday on the Peak Sloth Podcast Network or wherever you get your podcasts.